Yep, I was face to face with a bobcat. Let me start over. About, 22 years ago. It was like 2003, maybe 2004, but I believe it was 2003. I was going through a divorce, kind of going stir crazy with life. I didn't know where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. No, I didn't want to sit still and just kind of do things repetitive over and over again. So I basically scrounged up all the money I had, which wasn't much at the time, but maybe, I don't know, maybe $2,500. I took 5 weeks off of work. I was just a bartender. So it was pretty easy to do that. Everybody wanted to pick up my shifts and that sort of stuff. So I didn't have a problem taking off that much time. I had an old 1987 Toyota 4Runner. It was a really, really cool truck. It was in kilometers. It was a 5-speed. It had the 4-wheel drive. You had to get out and unlock the front hubs to turn it into 4-wheel drive. It had so many cool features to it. You could take the top off and make it kind of that, whatever the duck vehicles are now, the Jeeps. It was just a super, super cool vehicle. So much fun. Probably my favorite vehicle I have owned. So I loaded that up. I folded the seats down in the back of the truck. Put an air mattress in there. I put a netting system kind of in the roof and shoved all of my clothes and whatever kind of things up there. Put together a cooler of food, basically just bread and fruit and peanut butter and jelly, that kind of stuff. I had one of those, the big coolers that you see them dump on the coaches at the end of games. I don't know if it happens every game. I don't really watch sports. But I've seen that image where they dump the Gatorade cooler. I had one of those in the passenger seat belted in, that was just full of water. Basically got in the truck, headed west. Jumped on the expressway. I drove maybe 5 hours, I'd say. I think I made it through St. Louis. I saw the arch. And I was getting really numb to the driving on the expressway. Just real boring, no sights. So I jumped off the expressway and ended up taking back roads, like the routes, the secondary roads. Here comes Wanda to say hi. Hi, baby girl. She doesn't know this story either. So, taking the back roads, and I didn't really have a plan. I had a road atlas, and this is back kind of before GPS, as far as being readily available on your phones. And I had a cell phone at the time, but it just made phone calls. It didn't even, it wasn't touchscreen or any of that sort of stuff. Think like the Nokia brick, that kind of a phone. No texting or any of that. So it was really, the phone was just there for emergencies. And jumped off, drove on back roads, little 2-lane roads, just heading west, following my atlas, and exploring little towns. So I got all the way through, Illinois, Kansas. Kansas was really boring, flat drive. I'm sure there's some fun places to explore, but it was boring. Got through Kansas into Colorado, found my first campsite, and I pulled over, and back then I think it was $7 a night to camp, and I'd pull my truck in somewhere, and I'd hike around and explore the grounds, try to find trails and whatnot, just do some little adventures by myself. And I have my little 35 millimeter camera. It was actually a Pentax K1000. Any of you camera nerds out there probably know what that is. So I camped there the night, and that night I talked to my mom on the phone, and she said her and her girlfriend were flying to Colorado for a little weekend, or I guess extended weekend getaway. And she asked if I was anywhere there near there and if we could meet for a day. And I said, sure, absolutely. So I ended up meeting my mom the next day, next morning at Pikes Peak, which I believe is the highest elevation in the United States. I could be totally wrong on that, but I just remember getting there. Cool little town, kind of had a Norman Rockwell painting feel to it. So we did the typical tourist stuff. Jumped on this train that took us to the top of the mountain, which was like, I don't know, it was like 14,000 and something feet, maybe 400 feet, 600 feet. I don't remember exactly that, but we got up to the top, which was really cool because I'd never experienced anything like that. Had the lightheadedness, felt like I was having low blood sugar. The cool thing was up on the top of the mountain, there was an oxygen bar as well as souvenir bar, or souvenir shop, I guess. But I'd never seen anything like that. Just people sitting around breathing in oxygen for whatever it was costing them, and I thought it was kind of funny. So my mom and I had a really, really good time. Took the train back down. It was just a really good, fun mother-son experience sort of thing. And I'm very close with my mom. So we ended our day there with lunch, and she went back to her girlfriend so they could explore Colorado. I jumped in my truck and drove through Colorado a little bit, explored Denver, and went to some mountainous areas or some parks and that sort of stuff, and hiked around and looked at things and explored a bit, and then started getting a little late in the day and I wanted to move on to my adventure. So I jumped in my truck. I drove, I don't know, it seemed like maybe another 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours. Ended up in Utah, found another little camping RV park to stop in. Paid my $7 or whatever it was to camp for the night. I got there and I fixed myself something to eat for dinner. Did a little hike around exploring the campsite, which was absolutely gorgeous. Just you felt kind of very, very secluded away. And where I parked my car, there wasn't another RV or a vehicle or tent for probably, if I were to guess, somewhere around 100 yards away. So I had a very private little spot. So that night, as I'm going to bed, I crawled into the back of the 4Runner, got myself kind of settled down, and was starting to drift off. And I heard or felt, I don't know the best way to explain that, but it was a very loud, sounded like somebody slammed a car door right next to my car, which startled me. So I sat up, and my feet are towards the back of the 4Runner. So my feet are at the tailgate, basically. So I sat up and I looked directly out the back window, and I don't see anything, and it's really, it's dark at that point, but all I can really see are the woods and stuff like that. So I look off to the, the driver's side of the vehicle, and nothing. I kind of half expected to see maybe a car, an RV, or something that pulled up and they got out or opened the door and shut the door real quick or something like that. But there was nothing. So then I look over to the passenger side, and there was nothing over there as well. Just more like open area, some trees, but no RVs, no trucks, no vehicles, nothing. So I slowly kind of do like you're backing up in a car, but I'm looking out the front windshield. And I turn like this, and as I look over, there is a bobcat standing on the hood of my car. And we are face to face, with the exception of a windshield between us. And he's bobbing his head, trying to figure out what's inside, because the light is brighter on the outside of the vehicle than it is on the inside, so it's creating a mirror effect, I believe, for the Bobcat. As I'm literally just jaw dropped, frozen, I realize my camera's in the passenger seat. So I slowly reach over and I reach down and I grab my camera and I pull it up, and I'm still eye to eye with this Bobcat, and he's bobbing back and forth and looking up and down, and his tail is down, his ears are kind of back, almost in that what I would assume is attack mode. I've never been attacked by a Bobcat, but I can only assume that's what it was. So as I get my camera out and I reach down and I click the lens cap off. Yes, back then they had lens caps. I clip the lens cap off. It makes just enough noise to startle the cat. Its ears pop up, its tail kind of flutters, and it runs and jumps off the hood of my car and disappears into the night. So it was like something out of a movie, but it was such a freaking cool experience. I really loved it, and wouldn't trade it for the world. So this is my first video of my adventure driving out west, trying to find myself. So stay tuned. I promise I'll be sending out another video very soon because I have multiple chapters all on this. Thanks. Subscribe, like, whatever. You know, do your thing. Share it. Who knows? Whatever. Have a great day.